Okay, so we're just coming up to the last and putting some finishing touches on our skirt. Now I'm just going to be cutting up some scraps because I believe in recycling everything. So if you have any scraps hanging about, this is the best way to go. And I'm going to be just cutting out through some half-inch strips and doing as many as I can possible. Normally you can go around your skirt and just take a quick measurement and just see exactly how much you're going to need, but I'm just kind of guesstimating with this one. I figure if I overcut, then I'll have some left over for something else. So anyways, this is the colors I picked out. This is actually my bandeau too, so I'm just gonna go with that. And it's going to be my flat strip around the bottom edge of my skirt. And so yeah, so anyways, so let's just cut up for a few more colors, a couple more colors, and that's about good for that one. And the green. This is going to be really fun. I'm going to show you guys something really cool with this because if you're using a t-shirt material or a jersey knit, you can do so much with this material. So I'm going to show you something really neat with this in a minute that I'm going to be doing for my the edging on my skirt. So we'll just finish this up, and it's probably good. Alright, so let's get our skirt out, and very cute. We're just going to lay it nice and flat. You will kind of want to play with it a bit because it likes to move around. So I usually try and straighten up with my grid at the bottom on my cutting board, which comes in handy. And then, of course, with my ruler, just laying that flat. So otherwise, it's going to look all wonky if you don't do that. So I'm going to go with my favorite number, number 4. I don't know why, I just always like to use number 4, but you can go up a couple inches or you can go 4 inches or do whatever you want. I mean, it's your project. So for me, I'm just measuring at 4 inches, and this is actually just my little guideline for when I put my trim on. So I just flip it over and quickly do the other side here. Alright, so now that I have that, I'm going to go and iron off those corner bits because knowing me, I'll probably stitch over them. So nice thing about Tailor Chalk, it comes off really nicely with some heat, and it's so easy to work with. So I'm just going to take that little bit off of there. Just makes life that much easier. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you a couple things with the corners when we lay out our trim. So yeah, okay, here we go. Now again, I just kind of like to lay things out to look at it, and then, you know, I start to do the final thing. So I'm going to start at the seam for a trim. And normally what I would do is actually put the trim on and then stitch the skirt together, but I mean, you don't really have to, right? That's the proper way to do it. Now I'm going to show you a little corner trick, and I'm just going to bring the camera down actually because I can't really see it too well. So you can either cut it and then just lay the next layer over when you do your corner, which it really doesn't matter. No one's going to be looking that close anyways. Or another little trick, you can do the little triangle fold down and stitch it as you go. So just fold your corner when you come to the corner in your sewing machine and straight stitch that. Alright, so make sure that you have the right needle. The needle is important. Sorry, I didn't mention this earlier. So a size 10 if you're working with an industrial machine, or a stretch needle is the best. Otherwise, you're going to find that your machine's going to bunch up the thread underneath with your bobbin, and it's just going to be a mess. So it's important to match your needle with your thread. And I'll be writing more detailed information about what you should be using and that sort of stuff underneath these videos, so you don't need to keep re-watching this. And I do kind of go through this quite quickly. So now when I'm stitching this on, I'm actually just stitching right through the middle. And as you can see, I like to lay my fabric nice and flat as it's stitching. And then as it's coming behind my foot, it just it bundles up a little bit, because it kind of gives it more a relaxed lay on the machine and just an easier stitch. So of course, pressing that down, I'm just a mad presser. So yeah, it's so important to press, guys. So I've turned my heat down so I'm not burning my material, by the way, too. So otherwise I'll be using my pressing cloth. Okay, so here is the green material. So if you want to just give it a little tug, it's gonna curl. Isn't that cool? I just love that. So anyways, what I want to do with this is actually do the curl edge on the top of my trim. And so what you want to do is actually pull it, so stretch it, and then when we get to the machine, I'm going to show you a little trick so that when you do go to stretch it, you can stitch it flat, but you're going to end up with a curl at the end of it. So let's go do that. So when you get to your machine, just kind of give another tug so it rolls up nicely. It's like a little memory roll. This material is like Play-Doh. So of course, when you start, just make sure you do a little back stitching too. I was lazy there, so I never did that. So anyways, what I'm doing actually right now is I've laid the middle part of the material overlaid over top of the edge of the gray material. And as I'm going along, what I'm doing is I'm running my finger through the top roll, so it ends up just flattening it out a little bit, and the stitch is going right in between the material. So what's going to happen is when I'm actually done this, when we go back to the iron's going to heat set and curl it right back to where we had it when we first stretched it out. So I'll show you that in a second. And of course I ran out, so I'm just going to overlap that about an inch or so over top of the last piece. And you're not going to really be able to tell because it's going to roll in together once we press it with the heat. So so yeah. And besides, I kind of like the more of the rougher kind of look. It looks more more organic and earthly. So so just finish up, and when you get to your corners, make sure your needle's down, of course, and you know, you're carrying it on so you don't lose your spot. And of course there's a knot. There's always something in the way, but we just carry on. And yeah, so I mean, you can do as many layers of this as you want. I mean, I just kind of like doing a little bit of, this is kind of, you know, this gives it your little flavor, you know. So I always like to do something a little bit extra or different on my clothes. And yeah, so let's just finish this trim up here, and then we're going to go straight to the iron. Now we've done that. Okay, so you can kind of see that it's kind of flat on one side, and it's rolled up a little bit, but what I'm going to do is just give it a little tug and tug with the material. As you can see, it's puffing outside of the other trim. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some heat, and what's going to happen is it's just going to kind of roll in together. And when I use my fingers afterwards, it actually works like Play-Doh. So see how that works? It's so cool. It's kind of like binding, right? Where that little edging going around, but you don't even have to. It's less hassle, really, because we all know how fun that is. If you've ever put that stuff in, it's like, yeah. Anyways, so just give it some heat and roll it with your fingers. And of course, it's gonna be a little bit hot, but And then there's your finished roll over top of your trim. I'm probably going to do one more roll, but we'll see. And then I'm going to pretty much give it a stretch. Now I'm done. There's me. I actually came up with a button because my daughter, who's 9, is videoing me right now. And she's like, Mom, here, grab this button. So she had this idea. So this is a quick little thing that she thought of. And here we go. She wants me to lift it up and stick this nice cute little wooden button that I bought from Etsy. So I'm going to stitch that on there. And that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you guys later.